So we are up, should be up on live stream, and everything should be good. So, what I want to say at the outset is that I believe, firmly believe, that there is a, hold it a second, let me just make sure we are live. Yeah, we are. And I'll get back to why I say this at the end. I believe that there is a possibility and a hope, because I'm an optimistic person by nature. I believe that there is a way for, there is a version of Islam that will help stabilize and bring peace to the world. We don't have that now, clearly, but I believe it's out there. I believe it has the potential to exist. I believe that versions of a cooperative form of Islam and collaborative form of the faith, and even a political version of said faith, has existed in the past and can exist again. It doesn't exist right now. In a meaningful way, it's not the form of Islam that most people in the world are exposed to, and we don't have it now. But I do believe it could happen, and I hope it happens. We live in a world today that is much different than the world that we were brought into, especially when it comes to Islam. And I will be very honest, I know a lot more about Christianity than I do about Islam. So when we talk about this, and this isn't an Islam overview class, this is Islam and Judaism. I'm going to let the text speak for itself to some extent, again, as I did with Christianity. I'm going to show you the words of the Quran. But I do want to say that as close as Judaism and Islam are, and we're going to talk about it in a moment, there are actually more points of similarity between Judaism and Islam from a theological standpoint than there are between Judaism and Christianity. That's just a fact. But the forms of Christianity that we encounter, that we deal with in the United States and most of Western Europe, with the forms of Christianity that we encounter, they are much more similar to us than we would think Islam is, because number one, we know that Christianity and Christian folks can be compatible with Jewish folks because, heck, we got a lot of Christians that are members of our family, and we seem to be doing okay. We also know that Christianity, to some extent, is no longer backed by political force. And by that, I mean, we really don't have any Christian theocracies or Christian governments that are trying to institute either local Christian, assert local Christian authority, clerical authority, or global clerical authority. And we talked about it in Christianity last week. During the Crusades, there were people that were conquering land and going to war in the name of Jesus, in the name of Christianity, in their version of Christianity. We have, at one point, the papal states in Italy controlled a huge chunk of Italy under the direct authority of the church. The Swiss Guard that you see in those crazy uniforms in Rome, in the Vatican, the Vatican City, those are the last vestiges of a papal army. So there was a time when Christianity had it's essentially its own armies. We don't live like that. We don't live under that reality anymore. We also have to be honest that in much of the Western world, not so much necessarily the United States, but in many parts of Europe, Islam is the fastest growing religion, and to some extent is for all intents and purposes, is the practiced form of religion of the largest segments. Let me explain. Today, in 2026, on a daily and weekly basis, this is a fact. You can look it up. You don't have to believe me. Go look it up. There are more people in the UK right now who go to mosques on a daily or weekly level than there are who go to church. Okay. I'm not saying that to scare you, give you a political, a reality, a slap in the face. I'm telling you that the fact is that on a weekly basis, daily, weekly basis, regular basis, about 1 million Muslims go to mosque regularly. Now, they only make up about 8% of the population. They're fast growing, but they're only 8% of the population. There's far more registered and denominationally Christian people in Britain, whether it's Church of England or Catholic, still a very large Christian community, maybe 50% of the population. A lot of the population in England today, in the UK, throughout the UK, registers as no faith, by the way. Huge percentage are listed as no faith. But there are still 50% of the population, roughly, of Britain is Christian. But only about 700,000, 500 to 700,000 Christians regularly go to church. So on a basis of how the religion's being practiced, there are more people that are going to mosques in England today than are going in the UK than are going to churches. That's a fact. And there's similar numbers across Western Europe, whether it's France or whether it's Holland. Definitely some of the states in Germany, some of Germany, Holland, and parts of Scandinavia now. Some cities like Stockholm, Oslo. So that's a fact. We also are going to look, and as I said, we're going to kind of step back and now kind of explain what happens here with Judaism and Judaism and Islam, and to some extent Christianity as well. So let's establish a couple of facts that when Islam asserted itself as a religion, as a faith, it came really out of one person who we know a decent amount about. Muhammad lived around 570, the Common Era. So he lived about 500 years after the temple was destroyed and about 200 years after Christianity became the official faith of the Roman Empire, as we looked last week. So he lived about 200, he was born about 200 years after. And what was interesting about Muhammad and about what was going on in the Arab world is that if you look at this map, Arabia here, the part that is in red, this area where Muhammad originally lived, before Muhammad, much of that area had been exposed to Judaism, and there were Jewish groups that were Arab Jewish groups that were living in these cities and in that part of Arabia. And there were also Christians. There's debates over which were larger in that part of the world, but they were both sizable minorities. They weren't the majority. The majority of Arabians, people who lived in this area, were Arabs, Arabian Peninsula folk, Arabs, whatever you want to call them. Arabs by this point had spread out, into some of these other areas. But at this point, during Muhammad's life, most Arabs were pagan. Most of them were worshiping idols. And Muhammad, who had been exposed to both Judaism and Christianity, felt that the Arabs needed their own faith, and he believed that God spoke to him and dictated to him the Quran. The Quran is the basis for Islam and is to some extent, as the Bible is for us as Jews, and it is often to Christians, it's the foundation of the faith. And therefore, it's similar to both Judaism and Christianity in that it's a scriptural-based religion. It also, and I even showed you some of the Quran when it came to some of the Midrash, it has not only the Torah as its basis, but it also has Midrash as its basis. And of course, it also has the Christian Bible as its basis because the Christian Bible had been around already for 500 years. But in many ways, it draws percentage-wise, as far as texts, it draws more on the Hebrew Bible and the characters because, as I mentioned a little bit yesterday, and as I will in the coming weeks, Muslims believe, the followers of Islam, starting with Muhammad, were taught and are taught that they are descendants of Ishmael and that they are therefore descendants of Abraham. So they aren't only scriptural based, but to some extent, they're based on the same family. Now, I mean, as we said, within Christianity, Jesus was a Jew. The earliest people who were founders and followers of Christianity were Jewish. But very quickly, it became mainly a Gentile religion. Within Islam, the connection to an ethnic patriarch, Ishmael, and therefore to Abraham, was part of the foundational myth of the religion that allows for it to also have kind of an ethnic component. Now, very soon, a lot of people are going to be converted to Islam, and they're not Arab, and they won't be, necessarily the majority of the Islamic faith. But originally, and for the first few generations, most of the followers of Islam are Arab. Muhammad and all of his initial followers and family members, these are people who are believe that they're connected to Abraham. Now, the purpose of this today is not to talk about the history of Islam. It's really through the lens of Judaism. What does it mean for us? So I apologize if you feel like you want to know more about Islam. There's a lot of interesting sources. There's a lot of places that you can learn more about the history of Islam and about Muhammad as a person, though a lot of it is legendary. But the similarities to Judaism, as we already said, text-based, scriptural-based faith, that there is this belief of connection to Abraham, to the first families. And there's also obviously a very important connection, both culturally and linguistically, that the Arab world is very close to Israel. And as Christianity spreads into Europe, look, a lot of those people had really no connection to the Middle East. Judaism and Islam are both Middle Eastern religions. Christianity obviously was originally a Middle Eastern religion, but very soon Christianity becomes a religion of Europe. It eventually, as we said, becomes a religion of the empire, of the Roman Empire, and it becomes, in some ways, culturally less Middle Eastern and less connected culturally, ritually, and linguistically to Judaism. As the language of the church becomes Greek and then becomes Latin, the languages are not even close. Hebrew and Arabic are very similar. They're both Semitic, we call Semitic languages. They have very similar grammar. The vocabulary is very similar. And Aramaic, the language that was the popular language of the Jewish people during the time of Jesus and after in that area, in the language of the Talmud. Aramaic is a little bit closer to Arabic than it is. Aramaic is almost, it's not the middle language between the two, but you can almost look at it as Aramaic is kind of a middle language between Arabic and Hebrew. It has elements of both, and it's kind of like, it comes almost as a point where you can see how both languages are similar. Aramaic is almost like the middle part of like where they'd intersect. And as you see, as Islam spreads out of Arabia, it goes in through the Middle East, and more people are going to become Muslim, including, of course, many Jews, as Muhammad goes through Israel into Egypt, North Africa, and again, following north into Asia Minor, to what is Turkey. But before we get into the geography of it, let's also talk about some points of similarity, which is, of course, the fact that culturally, because we have some similar Middle Eastern and dietary similarities, ritual similarities, we'd say. You have kashrut, the laws of what's kosher, and the laws of halal, which are not as strict as kashrut. And people have asked before, like, what's the difference? Well, there's a lot of similarities. Halal isn't as strict as kashrut is. And so therefore, just so you know, somebody who follows halal meat, who eats Islamically sanctioned meat, which of course no pork, very strict about no pork. They're not halal laws of halal don't take out other kinds of animals and other kinds of foods beyond pig to some extent. So it's not as strict, it's not as wide ranging, and the animals don't have to be killed as strictly as they are in Jewish tradition for halal, which is why a Muslim can eat kosher food, but a Jew who's keeping kosher cannot eat halal food. I mean, I guess if you ask some Jews if they were going to have to eat meat, but if they don't eat non-kosher meat, they're not going to eat halal meat. They're just not going to eat meat. But like they would say it's at least closer. So these traditions also, like the similarities, Islam believes in burying people very fast, very soon after death. Similar situation. We understand anthropologically, culturally, if you live in a hot climate, you got to bury people as soon as you can. So similar cultural reasons and similar anthropological reasons. And all of this leads to the fact that within both Judaism and Islam, we have a concept of law, of rules that are set up to keep ourselves holy. So whether it's halal and kashrut, or whether it's the funeral arrangements within Islam and Judaism, to compare some of those things, they're like we have halakha, like we have Jewish law, they have what's called Sharia law. Now we hear Sharia law all the time because it's usually used as you don't want to live under Sharia law. Interestingly, probably most Jews don't want to live under halakha either, a halakhic system, which Israel has halakha inform its laws. So, for example, you know, there are a lot more kosher restaurants in Israel, but not every restaurant in Israel has to be kosher. You can open up a non-kosher restaurant, but halakha is definitely like more. It's encouraged more in Israel. It's not like you get a preferential restaurant if you decide to be kosher, but the faith of the Jews is to some extent protected, obviously a little bit more in Israel. But Israel isn't ruled by halakha. It's informed by halakha, but it's not ruled by halakha. To some extent, there are Islamic countries that say that they're Sharia-based countries. They believe that they're operating under Islamic law, or at least, I mean, that's what they say they are. Of course, I mean, if they believe they are, who are we to say that they're not? But other people would say, well, they're following one interpretation of Islam. But you could say that about any faith, especially a faith that's now, as Islam is, 1,500 years old. You're going to have people say, well, that's just one interpretation. And so, again, the purpose of this is not to talk about all of Islam, but where it affects Judaism. And I would say that one of the interesting things about the theological beliefs, or actually 2 points I want to make about the theological beliefs, is that obviously in Islam, the belief in one God is very important. The concept of monotheism in Islam is vitally important. It's one of the reasons why it is more similar to Judaism in some ways than Christianity. There's no concept of Trinity. Jesus is a prophet in Islam, just as Moses is, just as Abraham is, just as Muhammad is. Muhammad died. The Quran doesn't say that Muhammad was resurrected. It says he died. Now, the difference in Islam is that because Muhammad was the last prophet, there are no other prophets after, and he was the final prophet. He was the one who got it right. All the other prophets who came before had pieces of God's message, but they didn't have Muhammad's message. So Muhammad is the seal, is the final prophet according to Islam. But again, it doesn't mean Jesus wasn't a prophet, Moses wasn't a prophet. They're all prophets. And if you see Muslims today, there are a lot of Muslims who will be named Musa, which is Moses, or they're named Isa, which is Jesus, or they're named Daoud, which is David, or they're named Ibrahim, who's obviously Abraham, but Ibrahim is also the ancestor for Ishmael for Islam, but it's no different than Abraham. So Jonah, one of our prophets, Yunus is a Islamic name. So it's not just the prophets and the heroes that we hear about all the time, and especially ones that we know, were not their ancestor. I mean, they'd say Abraham was their ancestor, but they wouldn't say Isaac or Jacob are, and those names are not as popular. But Solomon, very common name. So yeah, there's a lot of points of similarity, and Islam saw itself as reestablishing the monotheism that Judaism was trying to do from the beginning. And so they said, like, we're going to do it. Any questions, any comments so far? Nothing? Okay.
I have a question.
Nothing.
Isn't there a split? Isn't there a split in Islam after Muhammad dies?
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that now.
Okay.
Not a lot about it, but I do want to talk a little bit about it because now, so Muhammad, born in about 570, in 622, he makes his journey to Medina, where he believed, where he'd hope that he would be able to establish his faith there, but eventually here in Mecca. Now, this journey that he makes to Medina, which is the first city that accepts him as a prophet, is called the Hijra. And this is when the Islamic calendar begins. That's year one. So Muslims essentially go back to 622. That's their calendar. So when you see a calendar and you go, wait, why is it only 1400, whatever? That's because it's going back to that date, 622. Now, Muhammad did originally think that the Jews would accept him as their prophet. He's not asking them to accept him as a Messiah, right? He's not expecting that. And so he knows from the experience that Jews had with Christianity that they're never going to accept him as Messiah, but they hope that he'll accept him as a prophet. And one of the things that Muhammad did was he took political authority under his name and under his rule. He was not only a religious leader, he was a political leader. And what's interesting about Islam is that Islam, from its beginnings, is a political faith. It's a faith where political control, and religion go hand in hand. And that's very, very different than Christianity. It's somewhat different from Judaism, but it's definitely different from Christianity. And I'm going to say this, and this is one of the reasons why I want to do this class right after we talked about Christianity. Understand this from our perspective as Jews, and really I want to talk about this. This is from our perspective. I can't stress that enough. Both of these religions, Christianity and then Islam, are daughter faiths, are children, if you will. They emerge out of the environment that we set, the text that we wrote. But Christianity, as you saw, and we just discussed, I hope most of you were there, Christianity starts out as an oppressed faith. As I made the point last week, in 311, there are still Christians being martyred. They're still being persecuted. They're still being killed. So for the first 300 years of Christianity's existence, they are being persecuted as an oppressed faith. Islam is the exact opposite. Islam enjoys tremendous political success immediately. And so that Muhammad, in his own life, conquers this entire area. He eventually makes a triumphal entrance into Mecca, cleanses the shrine in Mecca, turns it into the Kaaba, the shrine that you see where Muslims are commanded to go on a pilgrimage, on a Hajj, at least once in their life. It's one of the mitzvot. It's one of their principles of Islam, one of the 5 pillars, to go to the Kaaba. Again, if you're not Muslim, you're not allowed to even step foot in that area. But when you look at what Muhammad's doing, he is creating a political base for his faith in Arabia, and he conquers a tremendous amount of territory. So this is what Muhammad's kingdom looked like. This area in the dark orange. But look at what happens under the first 4 caliphs, the first caliphates. They extend all the way to North Africa, into Libya, all the way across the entire Arabian Peninsula, from one end to the other, which a lot of this is desert, but okay, it's all the Arabian Peninsula, but it's also Iraq, it's also the land of Israel, it's Syria, it's Iran, it's all the way up to the Caucasus, and all the way out from Iran to Afghanistan and to the borders of Pakistan into almost India. Now, eventually, of course, it will go all the way to India. All of this is Pakistan. All of this goes all the way up into the borders of Uzbekistan and those areas. But that happened in the first 100 years of the faith. So you understand, when you have a faith that is growing so fast territorially and by the sword, understand that these areas, much of these areas were not yet Christian. There were Jews living in these places, and there were Christians living in these places, but the majority of these places are not Christian. But the only place it is this area of Armenia. Egypt has a decent-sized Christian community by this point, right? And Israel, the Byzantine Empire, has made most of at least the political authority is Christian, but most of these areas that they're conquering are Zoroastrian or pagan. There's Jews and Christians that are coming under their authority, but this whole area here, yeah, there's Christians and Jews in North Africa and into Spain, obviously, but a lot of the people are converted to Islam by force. Christians and Jews were converted by force. They didn't have to convert initially necessarily, but they were definitely encouraged to. And what happened is in Arabia itself, and this goes back to the beginning, there were tribes that did not convert to Islam, and Muhammad went to war with them, and in some cases completely destroyed them. And so there are problems, just as we said, there's problems in Christianity with some of the texts and some of the history, the historical reality. There are problems with Islam that go back to the Quran itself, where Jews are portrayed as people who rejected Muhammad and who need to be destroyed. Were they just those specific tribes, right? Yeah, maybe, but sometimes it's been expanded to all Jews. So this is the problem that we have, because we will hear Muslims talk about the fact that Jews rejected Muhammad. What happens with that kind of psychological issue? Well, if the Jews don't accept Muhammad, they should, because he's trying to teach the world monotheism and the works of the prophets, the Jewish prophets tried to do. He's finally doing it. So there's a real feeling like, if the original monotheists don't accept this, what are we going to do to them? We're going to wipe them out. So we hear sometimes some of the wars that Muhammad had during his lifetime against Jewish tribes. Look, right outside of Medina was a town called Khaybar, which was an oasis It was a city in Saudi Arabia. And it was run by the Jewish tribes. And Muhammad went to war against Khaybar because they refused to accept him as their prophet and as their leader. And he destroyed Khaybar in 628. 628. I mean, you do the math. 1,400 years ago. But you will hear Muslims protesting or marching through London, Sydney, Dearborn Heights, screaming the words Khaybar, Khaybar. When a Muslim is chanting the word Khaybar, they are talking about the destruction of Jews, just as Muhammad did. Now, understand what I'm saying here. The Christian Bible has no stories of Christians killing Jews. It's not part of the text. It's not part of the, okay, there's parts of the history, but it wasn't the origin story. It's almost as if the Crusades and the darkest parts of Christian history, especially the forced conversions and the murders, were part of the text. That's not the case in Christianity. It exists, but it's not part of the text. And today, the church can disavow and apologize and seek penance for what has happened in their past, but they don't have to deal with it from a theological standpoint. I showed you the one area where they have to, when it comes to some of the liturgy, when it comes to I shared last week the Good Friday prayer, which will be uttered 8 days from now. What version of the Good Friday prayer the church offers, whether it's the perfidious Jew version or it's not going to be the perfidious. I shouldn't say that. I'm sure there's some pre-Vatican churches that are still holding on to that. But yeah, it's not part of Christian liturgy. It's not part of Sunday school teaching, if you will. All right. So it's chilling. Let's put it that way. When you hear people shouting Khaybar, Khaybar, because they're calling for the murder of Jews. So Islam spreads in literally the first 50 years, the religion has grown tremendously. After the first four caliphs, there's a split in Islam, as Philip's alluding to, where you have the Sunni Shia split, which is a major split. It's really about politics. And it's really about control, about who controls the faith. Whereas the caliphate were not direct descendants of Muhammad. The Shia basically believed that only Ali, who was Muhammad's nephew through his lineage, direct lineage, that only Ali should have been caliph at that point. And when Ali is murdered by the other caliphs, by the non-Muhammad family leaders, there's a split. And the followers of Ali assert their different path, and they fight, and they fight, and they continue to fight. And the split between the Sunni and Shia continues. The Sunni are the vast majority of Muslims. The Shia are a smaller group, but obviously are one of the versions of Islam that we come into contact to the most, because it's a Shia-dominated Islamic republic. Not every Muslim in Iran is Shia, but the caliphate that the people, let's say, of Damascus or Baghdad tried to establish, Iran, for the last almost 50 years, you hear all the time, for 47 years, that is a Shia republic, a Shia Islamic republic. And it's obviously powerful. So one of the most powerful Islamic nations is a Shia nation. One of the reasons why Iran and Saudi Arabia are at odds often is because Saudi Arabia is a Sunni kingdom. Iran is a Shiite kingdom. They have a very different belief in who should have authority. And over the last, again, nearly 1,300 years, those differences are things that for 1,300 years people have gone to war over. Some of it has to do with the fact that the Shia believe that the Sunni tried to murder them and tried to kill them, and it killed their leader. So part of it is vengeance on the murder of Ali. But obviously this does have something to do with the modern politics, and one of the reasons why Israel is kind of trapped between these different relationships. Neither one of them are more or less positively inclined to Judaism. Let me say that. The rulers who have been Shia are oftentimes, definitely now, they have a much different take since Iran has been in charge, because Iran has led the charge against Israel. But it's not necessarily historically accurate to say that Shia were worse to Jews than the Sunni were. There were good times and bad times under both, and for the most of for where most Jews lived, unless they were living in Iran, most of the time they were under Sunni authority anyways. If they lived in Egypt, if they lived in Syria, if they lived in Iraq, which is where a lot of these Jews lived, they were coming into contact with Sunnis more than they were with Shia anyways. So again, where does this play out in the Jewish world? There's a weird situation where Hamas, which is part of the Islamic Brotherhood, which is Sunni, was started in Egypt. The Islamic Brotherhood started in the 1900s in Egypt. They're Sunni. They're being backed by Iran, which is Shia. So it's always been a weird situation for Hamas, because as much as they need Iran's money, they also, taking Iran's money puts them at odds with the Arabs of Saudi Arabia and Egypt and some of these other countries, because these countries do not like Iran, not only because they are Sunni and Shia split, but because Iran is not Arab. It's Persian. It's not, they're ethnically not Arab. They don't speak Arabic. They're not Arab culturally. And so it creates this weird dynamic for Hamas, that they have this support from a Shia regime. It's probably not who they'd like to be supported by, but they don't have a choice. Hezbollah is a different take, a whole different animal, because Hezbollah is Shia. These are Shia for the most part, Hezbollah and many of the Muslims who live in Lebanon are Shia to begin with. There's also a lot of Sunni Muslims in Lebanon as well. So they're not Shia. They're not necessarily Hezbollah supporters, but Hezbollah is directly connected to Iran. It's one of the reasons why Iran had such a really strong foothold in Lebanon, was because they're Shia. And this circle of Shia and Sunni break, the Shia circle or half circle starts in Iran and goes across to Iraq, parts of Syria, and then into Lebanon. And so this was a Shia band, which kind of split through Sunni Islam, and also for Israel was a corridor of weapons and terror that allowed for Israel to be constantly bombarded by missiles that made their way from Iran to Hezbollah unimpeded, until Syria had its revolution a couple of years ago, which cut off that spigot, because the Syrians today are ruled by Sunnis instead of the Assad regime, which, while technically wasn't Shia, was Alawite. It's closer to Shia, and it's also, they were much more allied, the Syrians, with Iran than they were with the rest of the Arab world. So these are issues, and I share them because they do relate to where we are today. Any questions thus far? Anybody? So let's take a look at the Quran itself, because it's one thing for me to tell you that there's problems in the Quran, but about Judaism, but I decided let's actually look at it and look at where we have some of this. Now, just one word about the Quran itself. The Quran is not organized by chronology. The stories in the Quran don't follow a chronological way. It doesn't start with Abraham or even Adam and Eve, who are mentioned in the Quran. The stories are not they're not linear, if you will. They're not chronological. The organization of the Quran is the largest chapter is first, the next chapter is the next longest. It's organized by the length of the chapter, which in the Quran they're called surahs. Now again, Quran, just the word Quran comes from the same word as Koreh in Hebrew, which means to read. Koreh and Quran, it's the same word. So again, I don't know, I can't read Arabic. I wish I could. I really do. It's one of the languages I wish I really could read. But I know the similarities. I know enough Hebrew that I can see the similarities. And again, one of the reasons why Israelis have pretty good fluency in Arabic is number one, a lot of them have family that came from these countries like Syria and Iraq and Egypt and Yemen. But they also, their languages are so similar that they can figure it out. So this second surah is called Al-Baqarah, which is the cow. In Hebrew, a bakar is a cow. In Arabic, it's the bakar of Baqarah. It's the same thing. But this is the second chapter. And what's interesting about this chapter is that it really deals with people who are Muslim, who have accepted Allah, which is again very similar, the name for God. In Hebrew, it's Elohim or El. Um, and what I wanted to show you is this is a chapter where it specifically talks about Jews, and it talks about Christians too. And what's interesting is that these are the words of the Quran. So how do you interpret it? How do you understand it? I'm not going to read you the whole chapter because obviously, as I just told you, this is the second longest chapter. So I'm not going to read this whole chapter, but I do want to take you through a couple of these sections and to show you a couple of these lines. So one of the ones that I want to show you is, I'll show you, well, there's a lot of things I could show you in this chapter, but let's look at this. Let's look at right about here. This is a quote about this is a quote in the Quran about what happens to Moses when he's taking the people through the wilderness, right? And so it shows that people understood, they knew the Bible, they knew the text, and understand that in Islam, the Torah and the Gospels are considered sacred texts. They're not the Quran, but they're considered protected and sacred texts. Not the whole Hebrew Bible and not the whole Christian Bible, but the Gospels and the Torah are the 5 books of Moses and the 4 books of the Gospels are considered holy books. And there are quotes from it, and there's versions of it, and there's interpretation from it. And here's one, right? This is the one where Moses is told to strike the rock and make water, right? Strike the rock with your staff. Then 12 springs gushed out, and each tribe knew its drinking place. We then said, eat and drink of Allah's provisions. Do not go about spreading corruption in the land. And remember when you said, O Moses, we cannot endure the same meal every day. This is the story of manna, which is roughly the same part of the Bible. So just call upon your Lord on our behalf. He will bring forth for us some of what the earth produces of herbs, cucumbers, garlic, lentils, and onions. Moses scolded them and said, do you exchange what is better for what is worse? You can go to any village and find what you've asked for. They were stricken with disgrace and misery, and they invited the displeasure of Allah for rejecting Allah's signs and unjustly killing the prophets. This is a fair reward for their disobedience and violations. Now, what's interesting about this text is you can see right away that the Jews are condemned for their behavior in the Bible, which the Bible does condemn. It's not like the Bible doesn't condemn the Jews at that point. But this actually now includes other stuff, which unjustly killing the prophets. Well, according to tradition, there were prophets that were killed, including Isaiah. Even though it doesn't say Isaiah was killed, there's a tradition in the Midrash that Isaiah is killed. There's also a tradition that other prophets are tormented, and we know about Jeremiah being thrown into a prison, being left for dead. We know about it. The Bible talks about it. And so the Christians knew that as well. And of course, when Jesus is killed, what do the Jews do? They kill their prophets. And what do you do? What do you do? You punish them for their disobedience and violations. Now, it says, indeed, the believers, Jews, Christians, and Sabaeans, who we're not exactly sure, it's going to give you a note on it, are indigenous group that believes in a supreme being and lives mostly in Iraq. We're not 100% sure. I mean, this is one Quran run by an Islamic site. Sabaeans were probably, again, that we in the Bible we hear about Sheba and Saba that are in Arabian Peninsula, but these were probably people that were kind of keeping a little bit of both Judaism and Christianity. They're probably talking about the Mandaeans or some of these original Jewish Christian groups that might have been closer to the original followers of Jesus. But anyways, that's not the point. They have a belief in one God. Whoever truly believes in Allah in the last day and does good will have their reward with their Lord, and there will be no fear for them, nor will they grieve. So the Quran seems to be saying here that the people of the book, as we call them, the Jews and the Christians, will be okay as long as they truly believe. Now, the problem is the Quran does say that Jews are being punished for their lack of belief. And while the Quran doesn't really say, the next line where it says that those kinds of people will be saved, will be protected. There are other parts of Islamic tradition, including what we call the Hadith, which is the Midrash, if you will. It's the stories about Muhammad and stories about early Muslims that's not in the Quran, but that is considered holy. The Hadith is, it's basically Islamic Midrash, is that we have this very famous Hadith. It's not in the Quran. I'll make that very clear, but we have to deal with this because this is oftentimes invoked. Allah's messenger said, Muhammad, the hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, O Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him. They're basically saying that the rapture, that the final day, the day of judgment, and Christians and some Jews, and definitely as a pillar of Islam, is a belief in the last judgment, a last day, that won't happen until the Jews are murdered. Does every Muslim believe this hadith? Not necessarily. I'm not saying it is, but it does exist. You can't unknow this. This is not the Quran, but it is holy and sanctioned texts. The hadith is, after people are educated in the Quran, they're educated in the hadith. Now, back to the map. When Islam extends to this and this isn't the full extent of Islam. Eventually, of course, by the end of the Middle Ages, Islam spreads all the way across into Constantinople. The, 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 Eastern Empire falls, 1453, it falls to the Ottomans, and the Ottomans continue their conquest all the way up into Hungary, into Romania. This is when Vlad the Impaler, when for history buffs, the guy who's the origin story of Dracula, is fighting against Ottoman Turks who've conquered all of Greece, all of Albania and the southern Slavic areas, we call it Yugoslavia, all the way up the coast here. All of that eventually becomes part of Islam. And of course, everything north, all the way up to Russia, also becomes Islamic. But what Muhammad did during his life was a huge project of, let's face it, colonization, imperial and political weaponization of religion to force people to essentially become one religion. So it is a successful, very successful religion slash political entity. Now, of course, as the Islamic spread happens, and even, of course, even by the end of this time, we have the splits between Sunni and Shia, and we have other splits where caliphates, basically, the empire is too large. There's not one empire anymore. And so while they certain caliphates, especially the Umayyad Caliphate, which is originally in Damascus and then in Baghdad, asserts power over lots of the Arab world, there is no one Muslim center very soon. One of the things that Islam did when it conquered places is they turned churches and synagogues and shrines into Islamic places. And one of the things that they did successfully is turn the Temple Mount into what we know as the Dome of the Rock, that beautiful gold mosque on top of where the temple was. That was a political, religious, but also political statement that Islam was now the religion of the world. It was the religion of it was God's religion in God's holy city. Now, people have made the point that Muslims don't face towards Jerusalem when they pray. They pray towards Mecca. So if Jerusalem was their holy city, they would pray towards Jerusalem like we did. But originally there was discussions within Islam of whether they should pray towards Jerusalem. So they understood the importance of Jerusalem, which is why the Dome of the Rock is still there. Under Islamic control, this area, the entire areas of under Islamic control, Jews were allowed to practice Judaism for the most part we say unmolested, but and again, we talked about it last time. The argument of whether Jews under Islamic control were fared better than Jews under Christian control is kind of a debate of, which was worse, not which was better. Under Islamic law, Jews were treated as dhimmis, which are protected non-Muslims. A dhimmi, Dhimmi, a dhimmi included Christians and Jews. They were protected. They could practice their religion freely. They were allowed to continue to have Jewish courts and rabbis, decide Jewish law. And they were usually protected from forced conversions. But on the other hand, they had to pay a special tax called the jizya. It was a special tax towards the Islamic rulers. They were not obviously allowed to have political power within Islam. And there were certain social restrictions, including certain kinds, sometimes clothes that had to be worn by Jews, certain types of identifications that they had to have, and in some cases where they were even allowed to live. And in no city where Jews lived, even if the majority of the people were Jewish, in no city was a synagogue allowed to be bigger than the mosque. Compared to other places in medieval Christendom, this was not so bad. And in places especially like Spain, the Jews achieved a tremendous level of success, financially, culturally. Jewish poets like Judah Halevi. Maimonides, as we said, was born here in Cordoba. He eventually had to leave because of persecutions by Muslims. His family settled in North Africa, eventually down here in Egypt. He was a doctor, a philosopher. We've talked about how important Rambam, Maimonides, was, but he lived his entire life under Islamic control. Okay, and he wrote primarily in Arabic. He was very influenced by Arab concepts, Arab culture, and Islamic concepts. Hebrew poetry oftentimes was following Arabic poetry, and it, it was in many cases, in certain times, in certain places, it was the highlight of Jewish life in the Middle Ages. Because again, it was not great to start with. The baseline was pretty bad. Now, obviously, that's not the case today. And for the rest of the time, we're going to talk about what we're doing now. So, any questions about Judaism under Islam up till through the Middle Ages, Renaissance period? Because what we're going to talk about now in this last part is what's happened for most of our lifetimes, and it really goes back a little bit before that. Islam started to really be under threat when the largest Islamic country, the Ottoman Empire, collapsed. And when Turkey replaced it, Turkey was no longer a religious country. It was a secular nation. And Ataturk, who was the founder of the new Turkish country, the new political entity, was very against the practice of Islam. Really made it hard for people to practice Islam. And look, we talk about what happens in France where they ban headscarves in France. Turkey banned headscarves for women. It's a country with majority Muslims banned the practice of outward Islamic practice because they wanted to industrialize and westernize and civilize their country, if you will. They wanted Turkey to be like the Western world. That was one reaction. And of course, the current leader of Turkey, Erdogan, has reversed course on what Ataturk did and said that was a horrible thing. It was a downfall of Turkey. It was a downfall of what was a great nation once. And he wants to restore Turkey back to its Ottoman roots, to a time when Turkey controlled a lot more territory, was a lot more powerful, and was Islamic. And so what we've seen is a response um, to what was perceived as the downfall of Islam. Muslims in many countries and in many places, not just in Turkey now, in many places, said that the problem that Islam had and why Muslim countries were lagging behind wasn't because, as Ataturk said, we need to become more Western, but that we've become too Western. And so instead, you had a reaction, a conservative reaction within Islam to Westernization. And so you had people who tried to go back to the old ways. And that's a major issue within Islam today, is those people who say every time Islam fails, every time Muslim nations fail, it's because they're not Muslim enough. And that that reality has been something that we've been living with for the last, I would say, to some extent, for the last 50 or 60 years, since Iran went through its revolution and sent a message to other Muslim nations that it's possible to get back to Islamic law. And if you do, you'll have stability and you can thumb your nose at the West. What we're seeing today, literally at this moment, is a pivotal moment for history. And I don't want anybody to say right now that I'm advocating regime change. I would love for there to be regime change. I'm not advocating for war. I'm telling you that what's very important is that if Iran comes out of this this battle that's going on right now at this very moment, if they are seen as failures, this will change the narrative that all we have to do is be like Iran. And again, the Sunni version of it, or you know, the our own homegrown version, the Turkish version of it. If Iran is put back into a position of disaster rather than success, this is really going to change, I think, history. It's why this is a really important war. It's a really important war. We're going to finish with this map. And some people have seen maps like this. And if you haven't, you need to see this map. Because in 1948, with the creation of Israel, we simultaneously saw the end of Jewish life in the Arab world, predominantly Muslim countries. Again, not every Arab country is Muslim, though most are. I mean, even Lebanon, which is technically not Muslim, is majority Islamic today. It was created as a Christian Arab country, but is now not. But Islam, which has spread much further east of here, obviously not technically Arab world, but into Iran, Pakistan, all the way down to Indonesia. Really, the largest Muslim country in the world is Indonesia, population-wise. So there's a lot of countries that have Islamic populations that are not Arab. But most of the Jewish community that lived in Arab countries, that lived under Muslim countries, with the exception of Turkey, which had thousands of Jews, but not like Iraq did. Iran, which had at a time about 200,000 Jews, 150,000 Jews in 1948. But these are Arab countries. So this is not every Jew under Islam, but these are all Islamic countries that had Jewish communities before 1948. So you can see, and we showed the map of, I showed you the demographics of where Jews lived then and now. This wasn't in that map, but now you can see it. There were about 1 million Jews in 1948 that lived in Arab countries, from Morocco all the way east to Iraq. That's how many Jews live in the Arab world today. And most of those are in Morocco. So it's not quite 1,500 in Tunisia anymore, which is why you can add up to 4,300 when that would just be 4,500. But there's entire countries that had what would be some of the largest Jewish communities. I mean, Iraq had about as many Jews in their country as, let's say, Australia does today. That's about how many Jews live in Australia. That's about how many Jews lived in Iraq in 1948. There's none. These are communities that were completely evacuated, or again, in some cases, the people were murdered. But for the most part, they were given a choice to leave, to flee, to get out with no property, with literally a bag, a backpack, a suitcase. That's it. Most of these Jews went to Israel. Some of them went to France, especially Algerian Jews and Moroccan Jews. Some of these Jews, especially from French-speaking countries, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, some of them went to Canada. And some of them came to the United States. We have an Egyptian Jew in our synagogue, Rita Rafat. She was born in Egypt. She stayed in Egypt longer than most of her family because she was married to a Muslim. She was protected. But in the 1960s, as a young woman, she fled because she knew that her life was in jeopardy every day. Egypt had 75,000 Jews, had virtually 100,000 Jews. There were actually more Jews before. In the 1900s, there was about 120, 150,000 Jews living in Alexandria, and they'd already started leaving with the collapse of British control. So as much as Europe was left without many of the countries that had Jews, like Poland or Hungary, that had these vibrant Jewish communities, while those communities were virtually wiped out, so were these. So are these. And the difference is here, folks, is that some of these communities have been around for 2,500 years. Had been there since the first destruction of our temple in Jerusalem, since the Babylonian destruction. There were Jews living in Iraq, in Syria. Since the time of David, there were Jews living in Damascus. So that's where we are today, folks. This is the world that we live today. With the creation of Israel, we've had a complete reformulation of the Jewish and Muslim world. Is this the way it has to be? No, but it's the way it is right now. It's deeply disturbing. And, I'm going to show you something from the ADL website, because this is, again, where the Quran plays out today. On October 7th, when Hamas was successful at infiltrating into Israel, and we saw what happened, we understand that Hamas literally, again, I'm going to show you from Hamas's own words, from Hamas's charter, it says, Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it, just as it obliterated others before it. The Islamic resistance movement is one of the links in the chain of the struggle against the Zionist invaders. It goes back to 1939, to the emergence of the martyr Izz ad-Din al-Qassam and his brethren and fighters of the members of the Muslim Brotherhood. It goes on to reach out and become one with another chain that includes the struggle of the Palestinians and Muslim Brotherhood in the 1948 war and the jihad operations of the Muslim Brotherhood in 68 and after. Understand what we're talking about is the mentality that people have, that they're going to war in the name of Islam, in the name of traditions that go back to the beginning of Islam. And when you understand that when people say, as the Hamas Charter says, Palestine is an Islamic land, since this is the case, the liberation of Palestine is an individual duty for every Muslim wherever he may be. So why does a Muslim in Iran care about this? Why does a Muslim in Turkey believe this? Because this is part of what is being taught in some communities. And look at Hamas's charter. The hour of judgment shall not come until the Muslims fight the Jews and kill them, so that the Jews hide behind trees and stones, and each tree and stone will say, O Muslim, O servant of Allah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. What do you think about that, folks? Do you remember reading that? Hello? Anybody?
Yes.
That's the Hadith, folks. Why am I showing you something that was written 1,400 years ago? Because this was written 50 years ago.
Because it's pretty terrifying.
So I'm telling you, the Hadith might be a midrash. It might be not in the Quran. But when it's used here, it's being used for the purpose of inciting and inspiring people to go back to the way things used to be. There is no solution for the Palestinian question except through jihad. So this is Hamas's charter. This is what they've said in their own words. And so I showed you quotes, I showed you texts, and I'm going to show you this, which is interesting source for learning about Islam. It's called Wiki Islam. It was started by people who are, for the most part, Muslims who've left Islam, but who were raised in Islam. And this is the article about Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam. This is an important concept in Islam, which is, this is not from a Jewish source, folks. This is not a maintained by Christians or anti-Muslims or people with an axe to grind. These are Muslims who were raised, or they were raised, individuals raised in Islam, and will now tell you what the text says. Islamic law has understood the world is divided into a number of distinct domains based on the relationship of the ruling parties to Islam and the Islamic State or Caliphate. Whether or not these territories have always existed or continue to exist, virtually all Islamic scholars until today agree on the existence, at least conceptually, of such a place as Dar al-Harb, Dar al-Kfr, the abode of war, an abode of infidelity, and the Dar Islam, Dar al-Islam, Dar al-Tawhid, the abode of submission or peace or unity. So there are different interpretations of this in Islam. There's different ways to understand this, but there is a concept that if you live in an area that is a Dar al-Harb, this is an area where you can be gone to, people can go to war against you. So this is, I'm not going to go through we don't have time to go through the whole text. I mean, the whole learning here, but I will post the link to this. And so understand that what happened on October 7th was allowed for by this concept of Dar al-Harb, that you can treat people in the Dar al-Harb under that they are supposed to be or can be until they accept Islam, that they can be people can be murdered there. I'll actually post the link right here so people can continue to read it. So David and Cheryl, how does Bethlehem exist under Palestinian rule and accept Israel governance, military education, and financial support? Well, they know, and people who've been there, their own eyes know, that Bethlehem is technically maintained by the Palestinian Authority, which is in itself not supposed to be a religious organization. The Palestinian Authority is the governing authority for the Palestinians, and it's supposed to be for Christians and Muslims. For those who've been to Bethlehem, especially in the last 5 years, you understand that there are virtually no Christians left in Bethlehem. Most of them have left. Our Christian tour guide told me, when I asked if it's about 10 or 20% of the population now, the Christians, he said it's probably closer to 5.
And you told us, we were told when we were there, that we should not even walk across the street. We had to stay specifically with the group.
Yeah. So we're not allowed to have Jewish tour guides in Bethlehem. It is Israel does its best to make sure that Christian tourists can come and go into Bethlehem with as little problem as possible, and they coordinate with the Palestinian Authority to make that as smooth as possible. But yeah, there's a real concern, and there's a real concern amongst Christians who live in Bethlehem of what will happen if Israel wasn't behind the Palestinian Authority and making sure that they would be protected. Because on one hand, there are Muslims in Bethlehem who understand how important the tourist dollar is, but on the other hand, there are Muslims who also believe that even Bethlehem needs to become, to some extent, under Islamic control, which it was under the Ottoman Authority. The Ottomans, who were Muslims, allowed Christians and Jewish tourists to come to the Holy Land, and they made money off of it. And for the most part, they wanted it, they protected it. But what we have today is a different political situation, which, again, it's a complicated situation for us. It's made it worse. Has Israel made the relationship between Jews and Muslims worse? There's no question. Do I think there shouldn't be an Israel in order to have that kind of relationship? Absolutely not. But the fact that there's virtually no interfaith dialogue today going on between Jews and Muslims in America is not something that I think is a good thing. But it's where we're at right now, and I don't know if there's going to be a change. I hope there will. As I started at the beginning, I believe that there is a form of Islam that can exist that will be a great religion for the West and a great religion for the world. We don't have it. It's not there yet, and it's impossible for it to exist or for it to be created by us. It has to be created by Muslims. So until Islam decides that the way that they've been treating Jews in Israel is wrong, until they can come up with a reformed version of Islam, and it really has to be a reformed version of it. It has to be a form where they say, we're reinterpreting and we're reforming our understandings of Islamic law and Islamic tradition. If that happens, then absolutely, there could be amazing things and amazing cooperation. And I believe there are a lot of Muslims who'd like that to happen. But until that happens, we have a real problem and we can't impose it. So understand that there's nothing that we can do other than hopefully, keep our hearts open and our minds open, but understand that this has to happen from inside. It cannot happen from the outside. We can't make this change happen. So I hope it happens. I believe it could happen. I believe that there exists within Islam a tradition that allows for interpretation that would allow for Israel to exist and for Israel to be a place that's tolerated as a Jewish entity, but we're not there yet. It might take 100 years. It might take 200 years, but I believe it exists and I believe it can happen. Can we make it then? Can we get over the propensity for violence that we have right now? I don't know. But at the same
Rabbi,
time, we're not gonna lay our necks bare so that we can be murdered. Yeah.
as many of you know, Sharon and I spent 50 years living in that far off corner of the United States called New England.
Mhm.
Right across the street from our synagogue was the mosque, the Islamic Center of Metro West, as it was formerly called. For holidays where their parking lot was overflowed, they used ours. During the high holidays, it went back the other way. And I attended a 4-part course at the mosque, the Islamic Center, in Islam. And on alternate weeks, the Islamic community ended up in our sanctuary listening to our rabbi's presentation of what is Judaism. And it was only a little tiny corner, just 100 people in each direction, but it was a start.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I believe that it will be places like the United States and corners of Europe and maybe Australia, places where the religions function and relate to each other, where this change might happen. But it won't happen, and it won't happen in a vacuum, and it takes time. I mean, we have to be patient. We can't impose it. We can't make people do the right thing and do the thing that will preserve peace. We can't force peace on people, right? We can't. They have to want it and they have to make it happen for themselves. And so the points of intersection are really important. So those kind of things are important. Not a lot of people are here on the line right now. I think Mike is here again, but on September 18th or 17th, just after 9/11, we had a Sukkot service here at the temple, and I'd only been here for a few years when we had it, but we invited one of the local Islamic groups. And again, part of the issue is that there's not a lot of Islamic clergy. There's not many imams. There are not a lot of Islamic preachers that are working in the United States. It's really lay-led, which is quite amazing. I mean, it's the way most synagogues used to be, kind of lay-led throughout most of Jewish history. But these are lay leaders who are familiar with the Quran. They're familiar with the liturgy, and so they lead prayer services. But we had the local leader of the Islamic Center here at the time, a guy named Tariq Al-Tas. He was a Pakistani. he came here. We invited him right after 9/11 to come to our Sukkot service. And that's what started our tradition of having people from different faiths come for Sukkot. So Tariq came and he participated. He was from Pakistan, and I'll never forget what he said. He said he'd never been to a synagogue before. He never understood the similar. And again, this is not somebody who was raised in a Western country. He was raised in Pakistan. He said he never understood how many similarities until he was in a synagogue, until he came to a service. He never understood how many points of comparison there were between the traditions, and he really appreciated it. And I think, of course, it was very important to send a message to him that we don't hold every Muslim responsible for 9/11. And we worked really hard to make sure that the Muslims who lived here in Santa Clarita were going to be accepted, and we wanted them to feel comfortable, and we wanted them to make statements essentially as saying that, look, we as Muslims don't believe that what happened on 9/11 was a true version of Islam, that this is a perversion of Islam. We wanted people to have a forum to say that. Look, it's one of the frustrations I have today is we did not have people in the Islamic world that came out and spoke out against 10/7, against October 7th, the way that most of them did right away after 9/11. But they did not see an attack on Jews, especially in Israel, as a problem. Now, I will tell you that I researched and I wanted to see what the reaction was to the attack on the synagogue in Dearborn Heights on Temple Israel a couple weeks ago. And I will say that CAIR, CAIR, the Islamic advocacy group here in the United States, and most of the mainline Muslim organizations here had the appropriate statement condemning the attack on the synagogue. Much better than, as I shared with some people, I was really kind of upset by the apology that the mayor of Dearborn Heights made, where he basically said in the opening sentence, the guy that was responsible for this attack has family that were killed in Lebanon. Basically, some weird justification for this act. He had it in the opening sentence of this. So this is very important. It's obviously something that we're thinking about now. It's on the forefront of our minds now. It's something we have to know about. It's something most of us do not understand a lot about Islam. This, again, the purpose of tonight was not to teach about Islam. It was to talk about what we as Jews need to know and need to understand about the history and the points of intersection. And again, as I said, I want to finish on a hopeful note, which I don't think that this has to be the way it will always be. I hope that this is the low point in Jewish and Islamic relations. But I hope we can look back on this. And I say I mean history. I mean, our descendants can look back at this and say, this was a really bad time. But that time cannot come at the expense of the existence of the one and only Jewish nation. It can't come at the expense of a dismantling of our freedoms as Americans. So these are things that can't happen. I mean, if the exchanges that living under Sharia law or Islamic caliphate, that's not what we're looking for. But I do hope that we look back at this as the low point in the relationship between Jews and Muslims and between the Islamic world and the Jewish community, the worldwide Jewish community. Because our success doesn't have to come at the expense of them. And I think, we see the relationships between Israel and some of the Islamic countries, powerhouses like UAE in particular. There's potential. Again, that's an Islamic country. You know that Turkey was the third country that recognized Israel in 1948. But of course, at the time, it was a secular country. It was not what it is today. But they were the third country to recognize the United States after the US and the Soviet Union. So there is a potential. It exists, and it is maybe, we hope, will come sooner rather than later. So next week, folks, we will continue. The last 2 weeks were Christianity. This week, we talked about Islam. And in the coming weeks, we're going to kind of build on some of what we've been looking at in the last few weeks. And but next week, we do not have class because it's Passover. So we will be taking that week off, and we'll be back for, believe it or not, this is the 26th class in the Jewish journey. It feels like it just began. But yeah, our next class is we're going to start moving into kind of more history, but looking particularly at the next couple of classes are going to be one of the next classes we're doing is on the Holocaust because we're coming up on Yom HaShoah, but we're also going to be talking about European Jewish community. Before that, to understand, again, even though we looked at it when we talked about the history, we're going to look at Yiddish and the Jewish culture of Eastern Europe because we really didn't talk about it before. We talked about the Jews during the Middle Ages and during that period, but we really need to go back and understand what really existed in Europe at the time. So all of it hopefully will come together for people as we talk about and have a subject class devoted to the Holocaust, a class devoted to early Zionism and the history of Israel, and of course, looking at anti-Semitism as a whole, as an entity, both within Christianity and Islam, and culturally, some of what we deal with today as well. So thank you, everybody, for being here. We're going to wrap up.
Hey, Rabbi.
Yes.
Hold on one second.
And not
Gloria and I
next week.
watched.
Happy Passover, by the way, in advance to everybody, but we'll be back the week after.
Hopefully we see everybody second night.
Yeah.
We watched Nuremberg. If you haven't
Oh, yeah.
watched Nuremberg, you guys have to watch it.
All right.
Yeah. Very well done.
Yeah, good movie. On Netflix, watch it.
All right, thanks. And definitely, we get to the Holocaust. It's going to be important for us to be thinking about some of those movies and some of those ways we've learned. All right, thanks, everybody, and happy Passover. Hag Sameach in advance. We'll see you soon.
Happy Passover. Thank you.
Passover.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Bye-bye.
See you in a little